Welcome to another edition of Fansview Fridays. I know it's been a while since we've done one of these. Well, unfortunately, the Internet Archive has been down for some of October, which made it hard for us to stream and talk about Kevin Lillard's website since most of it has been archived on the Internet Archive. So, if this is your first time tuning in, Fancy Fridays is a tribute to my late friend Kevin Lillard. If you don't know who Kevin Lillard is, he was one of the first cosplay photographers to really share and really take photos of cosplayers. Not only took photos of cosplayers, he also documented convention guests, shenanigans that was going at the convention, so you could get an entire vibe. You can get the vibe of what happened at the convention through Kevin Lillard's reports. I always felt his reports were so thorough, and a lot of his reports are a piece of anime convention history, a piece of fandom history that won't be forgotten. And unfortunately, we've had incidents like we saw with the Internet Archive where a lot of this can be taken down, and this is just a friend's attempt to rescue and to share with you what fandom was like in the 90s and early 2000s. This Friday, we're going to be talking about Animazement 98. Oh, goodness. I've been waiting to do this one because originally this was scheduled for early October, but unfortunately, the Internet Archive went down. But alas, let's talk about Animazement. I've heard great things about this con, actually. I've never actually been, but I've heard so many positive things about the history of this convention, so let's dive right in. A fan's view of Animazement, Raleigh, North Carolina, March 20th to 22nd, 1998. One of two new anime and manga conventions to be held in the span of 2 weeks, Animazement promised a strong lineup of Japanese and American guests for fans in an area best known for college basketball and stock car racing. All right, let's go to day one. All right, Animazement Day 1, March 20th, 1998. The author would have posted more on the opening day of Animazement had a rash of thunderstorms not delayed his arrival in Raleigh, North Carolina by 8 hours. Delta Airlines was caught unprepared for the bad weather. There was still some fun to watch, led by Apollo Smile, who made an appearance at the new convention on Friday night. So we're looking at the first Animazement here, and for those of you who don't know, Apollo Smile was a self-titled and self-proclaimed live-action anime girl. So this white chick here is like, "Hey, I'm the anime girl." I mean, we all have our cringe phase, honey. Banana. I've heard good things about Paula Smile. She's actually really sweet in person. I've never had the opportunity to meet her, but I know nowadays if you're gonna run around an anime convention calling yourself the live action anime girl, um, people would have a field day with that on social media. All right, Smile didn't sing. This time she introduced other singers at the Animazement karaoke contest. The anime fans who dared appeared on stage showed why they're fans and not performers. Listening to the show in the back of the room was Juliet Cesario, English voice actress of the Oh My Goddess series. And also on hand were Scott and Billy Hoole, owners of the Coastal Carolina Recording Studio in Wilmington, North Carolina, where the OMG voice tracks were dubbed. All right, OMG, Oh My Goddess. Cosplayers so numerous at AWA3 and CatCon 4 were in scant numbers on opening night of Animazement, but the author will be looking for more on the second day. The Japanese guests of honor weren't on hand on Friday evening, but one of the works was Giant Robo 7 movie from Yasuhiro Imagawa was shown to first night fans. And if you haven't seen Giant Robo, it is like in my opinion one of the best like giant robot series. It's just like an homage to like everything Hong Kong cinema, opera, classical music, and even like going as far back as classic mecha anime. So if you're a huge fan of that, highly recommend checking out Giant Robo. Unfortunately, I don't think it's been licensed anywhere. The best way I've been able to watch it was through Yar YouTube. So, highly recommend watching this masterpiece. It honestly should be required anime viewing because just a lot, the art style, the whole realism, the design, the world build. Check it out. And this is our friend here, Steve Bennett. Steve Bennett, my man. Anime conventions don't seem complete without these familiar faces. Steve Bennett, who offered his cell painting workshop. And you know what, tonight, I want to dedicate this stream to Steve Bennett, his loved ones tonight. He lost his wife, Nikki, to cancer earlier this morning. So, Steve, we love you. You've been like the star of a lot of these convention reports, and you've been a huge part of anime fandom history. I haven't forgot you. I always like telling about the shenanigans of Steve Bennett. I'm actually glad that I did take one of your drawing workshops when you were at Fanime many moons ago. Again, if you know Steve Bennett, please give him some love right now. And again, Steve, you're a cool guy, and I'm so sorry for your loss. And again, I really want to dedicate this stream to you, Nikki, your loved ones tonight, because again, you just had like this presence at conventions, and a lot of us in the anime convention world during that time knew both Steve and Nikki, and they had nothing but positive things to say about the both of them. So Steve, sending a lot of love to you and your loved ones tonight. And fan favorite Fred Perry, who used a computer and tablet brought by William Pfister of Animazement Techno Ops to demonstrate how Perry creates the Gold Digger characters. Perry tells a great story about how he was serving in the military during Operation Desert Storm. An Iraqi soldier rushed through the American lines, ran to a M1 Abrams tank, and surrendered. It turned out the soldier was from Brooklyn, New York, had gone home to Iraq to visit relatives, and had been drafted into the Iraqi army before he could get back to Brooklyn. All right, let's take a look at day 2. A lot of Kevin's earlier reports were relatively short. So let's take a look at day 2 of the first ever Animazement. Oh wait, maybe I skipped a few things, my bad. All right, day 1 is just like a summary here, okay. So we have a couple things to get through on day 2. All right, costume players, celebrities, and unusual sights are this part of the second day of Animazement. Okay, let's see what unusual sights we have to see here. We have such great sights to show you. Oh, check out that Sailor Moon. All right, attendance picked up from the second day of the new convention. The costume players started to drive through the rain and flow into North Raleigh Hilton as they prepared for the night's costume contest. We took our camera through the hotel's halls and found the following. That's a really cute Sailor Moon stand. It looks like she has the, I want to say that's a season 3 locket right there. Transformation brooch, rather. We got figures, we got Ryoki, everyone's favorite Cabot. Scrolling down here. Looks like there's Apollo's smile with a couple of fans. And check out that 90s fashion, that Y2K style. You've got Sanosuke and his sword thing. It looks like this person is a Chibi Moon. I was going to say, like, oh my god, she's giving Lux Star Guardian from League of Legends. Like, oh yeah, League of Legends has yet to be invented. Okay, we got Moonlight Knight and Tuxedo Mask. Looks like, I want to say we have Murasame, I think, from Giant Robo. We have a Shampoo and Ranma. And again, at the time, like I mentioned in my previous streams, like Shampoo was like one of the easier go-to like closet cosplays, because all you need to do is just get like a Chinese dress, get a purple wig, or just like find a way to like style your hair with like 2 buns right there, and your Shampoo from Ranma. You need to have a costume, you need to have a costume contest to have an anime convention. A mixture of newcomers and repeat performers grace the stage at the inaugural Animazement cosplay. I love how back then that masquerade or the cosplay contest was just known as the cosplay. All right, costume contest. Let's see who went up. It was hard to find a person in costume on the first day of Animazement. You couldn't miss the costumers on the second day, the hardcore character lovers, many who perform at Anime Weekend 3 and CatsCon 4 turned out in impressive numbers for the new convention Raleigh, and the anime spirit was with them. Okay. So we got Cloud here, we have Umi, Goku. Oh, I like that Eternal Sailor Moon. Just so really interesting to see like how it was done back then and what cosplay was like back then. Oh, we have a Dragon Ball versus Slayers. I love that. Got Moonlight Knight. No, this dude here reminds me of my friend who goes as Tuxedo Mask in Cosplay Wrestling Federation. He's really giving some Bryce vibes. I love this Sailor Jupiter here because she looks like she's about to do the monkey. Speaking of monkeys, looks like that's a Goku, I believe. Correct me in the comments. We got Asuka from Evangelion. I want to say this is Sakura from Street Fighter, but please hold me accountable in the comments. And I guess over here is just a Mod Podge of different cosplayers who entered the costume contest that night. After the cosplay, the judges retired to the jury room. They rendered a verdict shortly afterwards, and the particulars are hereby documented. I have to use that phrase more often. The particulars are documented. All right, Best in Show, inaugural Animazement cosplay. Looks like it went to that Goku and Naga. I do love that though. Oh, I also love the design here because like I remember doing like a lot of these table style here. So if you can see this green line here, came this 3D effect. We did that all the time in web design back in the late 90s, early 2000s, because I know I had to do like a lot of table design when I was working on my websites. Novice cosplayers. I want to say this is Vampire Hunter D in first place here for novice. Intermediate, not sure. It's really hard to tell. Yeah, it looks like at the time, when you're taking photos of cosplayers, you're kind of like just capturing them in the moment. So it looks like here they didn't really have a chance to like go in the middle of the stage and like just pose. Oh, I loved that the Sailor Jupiter got second place. Oh, even the Umi got a second place in her division. Third place went to the Street Fighter group. Again, I'm trying to figure out who this guy is, but I'm like, purple hair, red cloak. There's so much anime from like back then I totally forgot about. But please refresh my memory. Special awards. Special awards aren't really documented on here. But we can just kind of scroll through. I know this Asian dude here looks familiar. If anyone knows in the comments who this Asian dude is, let me know. Because like I've seen his face before in some of these convention reports from Kevin. Winner of the Annie Mecha drawing for the replica of the Mamo Hunter Yoko sword. That's an anime I haven't heard of in a while. I know it more as like Devil Hunter Yoko, but Mamono Hunter Yoko. Yeah, that takes me back. Alright, so we know who this Asian dude is, and we will read about him. Publisher Toshifumi Inagawa and multimedia maven Nobuyuki Takahashi talk about the anime magazine scene in Japan and had news on the first all-anime television channel. Bandai, the Japanese company behind Sailor Moon, the original Power Rangers, and a host of products and projects, is a major force in the anime industry. Appearing at Animazement were two men with ties to Bandai. Toshifumi Inagawa, left, and model kit producer and magazine editor Nobuyuki Takahashi, right, head of Studio Hard, a multimedia production house that handles projects for Bandai. Takahashi had some intriguing news. An all-anime 24-hour cable television channel will be started this year, to be named Animax. The channel has been formed by Sony Music, Sunrise, Toei, and other companies. Studio Hard will produce anime and modeling shows for the channel. It's great news for anime star fans, but the all-anime channel will be available only in Japan. Ironically, Inagawa was on hand at Animazement to deliver a farewell address to one of his favorite projects, B Club magazine. Created by Bandai to promote its projects and encourage new artists, B Club went out of publication in February after 13 years in circulation. However, B Club's demise cleared the way for two Japanese magazines to take place. The modeling side of B Club's coverage will go into Replicant, a publication that covers the modeling world that will compete with Hobby Japan. B Club's anime coverage essentially goes to the new AX magazine, which will be created by Studio Hard and Takahashi's army of otaku consultants. It's our job to wage war, but it's not a war of destruction. It's a war of construction, Takahashi said. Okay. English language voice actress Amanda Winley met fans, entertaining them with her stories of the characters she has played. Oh, this lady is hilarious. I've actually been to a couple of her panels in the early 2000s. American anime producer AD Vision has sent two of its English language stars to Animazement. Voice actors Doug Smith and Amanda Winley met fans and shared their experiences. Please let everyone know I was wearing glasses because I look really bad, not because I was being pretentious, Lee had noted. Lee has provided the voices of Rei Ayanami, Yoko Mano, Raleigh Vincent, and Captain Tita. My bad. The last character, the lead in Plastic Little, has produced the best acting no one has ever heard because of the anime's high fan service content. Lee said it didn't matter if we did lip sync because no one was looking at our faces, she said. Smith carried a lifelong love of anime into his voice acting career, although he admitted stumbling upon the name Noriko. His favorite character was Kintaro in Golden Boy. I felt in touch with the character, said Smith. I tried to pump it up as much as I could. My father looks at it and says, what a pervert, but it's a good job. Lee clearly gets a kick out of voice acting even when she has to sweat the technical details. If there's a huge line of dialogue and you have 3 seconds to get it in, you have to cut out some of the dialogue. Like many voice actors, Smith isn't impressed with the subtitles. I get distracted by subtitles. I miss too much of the animation. You really don't want to read a film. You want to watch it, Smith said. Lee admits she and other AD Vision actors have a way to slip in ad-lib lines. They take advantage of scenes where characters' heads are turned so they don't have to match mouth movements and toss in the side comments when they want to put in the story. Imagawa is a guest at this convention. All right, let's talk some Giant Robo with Yasuhiro Imagawa. The man behind the Giant Robo anime talked about the long journey to get the popular adaptation out of his head and into video. So I was just gushing about this earlier on the stream. Let's hear it from the man himself. Would you believe that the 1960s television doctor show Ben Casey was a major influence on the man who created Giant Robo OVA? According to Yasuhiro Imagawa, that's the case, which makes you wonder if Vince Edwards, the actor who played Dr. Casey, was important to Giant Robo as Misuteru Yokoyama, the manga artist who created the original Giant Robo. In the 1960s, American TV audiences loved the melodrama of Ben Casey. Imagawa said he always tried to put in the factor of his work. I always liked the solid writing in the American TV shows. There are a lot of Japanese TV series that only had cute girls and no story. I hated that, Imagawa said. In the case of Giant Robo, especially episode 7, shown at Animazement, Imagawa said he wanted to make a film about people, not fighting machines. No matter how big the robot, it's the human characters that drive the story, said Imagawa. If it's a story that you can cry to as a Ben Casey fan, I thought I had my chance. However, getting Giant Robo out of his head and onto the celluloid was protracted, torturous process. Imagawa was working on the delayed Battlecruiser Yamato remake when he got a chance to start the Giant Robo anime. For years, the project would take a step forward, then fall back when sponsors dropped away. Even when Imagawa finally got anime into productions, he faced years of delays and feels he has still not gotten the definitive Giant Robo story on film. Imagawa agrees with those who call Robo a retro future show. People who see it say like it's something they saw a long time ago and can't remember it, so it must be brand new, he said. All right, I didn't know about that Dr. Casey inspiration. I didn't even know what Dr. Casey is. So there you go. There you have it. Learning like more of the inspo behind Giant Robo. All right, all of the English language voice actors in Animazement got together to talk about their jobs and defend their work against subtitle fans. Ooh, this can get messy. Yeah, you had to kind of well, back then there was like a huge tension between the subtitle community and people who preferred dubs. So, yeah, let's take a read more of that here. North Carolina based Anime Ego sent major players in their Oh My Goddess English language dub to Animazement. Juliet Beldandy Cesario, Lef, and Linnell Erd Markgraf were on hand. It's very focused work, and that's what I like as an actor, Markgraf said. Cesario hoped more people would try her voice work as an alternative to the Japanese language original. Most of the people who say dubs suck have never seen What We Do, said Cesario. Pamela Skuld Wiedner wanted to be Erd, but producers cast her as the youngest goddess instead. She defended dubs, saying flat performances are caused by poorly prepared actors or bad directors. Too many are in it for the money. It hurts to see a beautiful story ruined by a bad dub, Wiedner said. Scott Keiichi Simpson, Cesario's husband, said his job was eased by being married to Bill Dandy, but voice acting is not easy. An actor goes home with a copy of the tape and the script, then proceeds with hour after hour of studying the script, the mouth moves, and the emotions, said Simpson. It's a collaborative thing, and the heart of collaboration is compromise. Dave Underwood, something of the newcomer to this group, got to play the voice of God in the OMG series. The hardest thing was we as actors are trying to overcome is 30 years of prejudice against dubs. What we will love is for people to give us a chance. We met Michael Brady, and at CatsCon 4, Apollo's Smile has branched from singing into voice acting, although she admits she doesn't have the right voice for older women or grandmothers. Then, the people who don't like dubs were challenged to step up to the mic and find if it was easy as they think. All right, Scott Hoole's dubbing challenge. Scott Hoole, owner and operator of the Coastal Carolina Recording Studio in Wilmington, North Carolina, has handled dubbing duties for many movies that need new soundtracks. Anime fans know him best as the person responsible for the English language versions of Anime Ego's Japanese productions. Oh, check out the old hardware here. As he had done at CatsCon 4, Hoole graced Animazement with his portable studio running off an Amiga 3000 computer. The hard drive served as a sound recorder for this event, as it is used in all major professional recording. Dubbing went digital years ago. However, a challenge to anime fans who say they don't like dubs, prefer subs, and criticize dubs as being flat and lifeless. Here's the microphone. Try yourself and see if you could do a better job. House provided Animazement fans with a script so they didn't have to think of their own lines. And he provided the anime a copy of Crusher Joe film that he had turned into an English dub a few months ago. Hoole's challenge was accepted, and several fans stepped up to the microphone to find what it's like to match the jobs handled by the professionals. However, the task wasn't intimidating. It was fun. Somehow, the fans thought of their own R-rated Crusher Joe dialogue. Rather than shrinking from the challenge, the audience demanded to be allowed a chance to remake Crusher Joe. It's a version that won't ever get in stores, though. All right, let's go on to day 3, the last day of Animazement. The last day of the first ever Animazement. Nobuyuki Takahashi, founder of Studio Heart, also created Cosplay. But he acknowledged its American roots and prefers costume contests of the kind he saw at Animazement. You hear that? So we want to see more Goku versus Naga. All right. The man who invented cosplay. Here we go through these ancient tomes. If anime editor, publisher, and promoter Nobuyuki Takahashi is remembered for anything, it'll be inventing cosplay, the term that describes the popular practice of anime fans dressing like their favorite characters. It is a bilingual term, a blend of English and Japanese, and it has American roots. In the early 1980s, Takahashi attended the World Science Fiction Convention, Worldcon for short. He marveled at the masquerade of people who made the costumes so they could play their favorite characters. There were people dressed as Star Trek, Star Wars, Ghostbusters characters at that event, and the vivid memories stayed with Takahashi when he returned to Japan. Around the same time, the comic market, Comiket for short, was getting started in Japan with a few thousand people gathering to trade and sell self-published manga. Some of the Comiket's fans began wearing costumes depicting their favorite characters, and Takahashi saw an opportunity. At that time, Takahashi wrote for My Anime magazine and decided to start a series of articles on masquerades and costumes. The idea was easy, but the name was difficult. One of the problems we have in Japan is we don't have a cool name for a production. It won't sell. If we don't have a cool name for a production, it won't sell. So it had to be really simple. It had to be a really simple name, said Takahashi. Modern Japanese is full of loan words taken from English and shortened into simple phrases. Takahashi considered the possibilities. Manga Halloween, manga action, costume action were rejected. He decided the new phrase needed a form of costume to show purpose and play to show practice was fun. The winning combination was costume play, contracted to cosplay. 2 years after Takahashi started using the made-up phrase in his articles, cosplay became a common catchphrase among Japanese fans, and now the phrase is in mainstream use. Skip to almost over 20 years later, we are using cosplay in mainstream American pop culture. It is surreal. And this was the guy who invented and came up with the term cosplay. American anime fans take their costuming cues from Japanese cosplayers, but there's a difference in the presentation. At Japanese events such as Comiket, cosplayers only attend the event and walk through the halls. In American conventions such as Animazement, a costume contest sees the fans dressing in costume, performing skits on stage. Takahashi prefers the American practice. I'd like to launch a cosplay contest in Japan where they have sketches on stage, Takahashi said. One of Takahashi's favorite costumes in Animazement was his Zeiram effort, an award winner at the costume contest. American costumers spend months creating their costumes, as do most Japanese fans. However, cosplay's popularity has grown in Japan to the point that companies have sprouted which create and sell cosplay costumes. Japanese fans can now buy clothes that make them look like their favorite characters, and Takahashi doesn't like that trend. The original spirit of cosplay is to get involved in all aspects, said Takahashi. Any real cosplayer should enjoy making their own costume. This, buying costumes, is not something I can endorse. Okay, there you have it. The guy who invented the term cosplay, and he's not a huge fan of store-bought costumes. Well, Takahashi, I agree to disagree on that. Okay, a holdover story from A Busy Day 2. Manga artist Yu Kamijo and Rurika Fuyuki talk about the world of Japanese girls comics. All right, let's get into this. But first, let's have a drink of tea right now because we need to hydrate. We've been talking a lot. And I do see our friend Ramses is in the chat. Welcome, Ramses. How are you this evening? I'm currently sipping some lavender tea out of an urn. And that is some good lavender tea. Before the decline of the American comics market in the late 1960s, there was a strong supply of comics for American girls to read, carrying romance stories to millions. That girls' comics tradition continues in Japan, and Animazement's brought 2 shoujo manga artists to North Carolina to speak about their work. Rurika Fuyuki started drawing pictures as a child and never stopped. As a self taught artist, she submitted her work to manga publishers. After 3 years of trying, she was offered a professional contract. Now, she can work at her own unusual hours. I never get up early, Fuyuki said. I usually get up at 12 noon to start my work and 3 p.m. and work until morning. When the sun comes up, I go to sleep just like a vampire. Also self taught, Yu Kamijo got a job as an assistant to an established manga artist but wanted to become a feature artist. She persisted in submitting to art publishers and was rewarded with a contract. Fuyuki wants to create stories about humans, not superheroes. I don't like a very powerful or cheerful person, Fuyuki said. I like to draw a person who is growing up and has to overcome this weakness. What about physical features of manga characters, who usually look more Caucasian than Asians? Expressions are exaggerated and it's far from real life. Manga art is not realistic. We try to make the emotions more clear than usual so the characters have large eyes. Kamijo reflects the Japanese preference for the melodramatic entertainment. I like fantasies and love stories. My favorite love stories have sad endings. Among Kamijo's series, her favorite is Magic Monkey. And with that, let's take a look at just some of the author's notes from the first ever Animazement. And before we do, let's just continue drinking our lavender honey tea. Give me one moment. So according to the chat here, Rams would like to be a shoujo manga artist. What kind of romance stories would you write? Animazement got off to a slow start, or so it seemed after the author's late arrival. On Friday evening, there was a thin crowd of few people in costume at the North Raleigh Hilton. However, things picked up dramatically on Saturday as hundreds of people attended. Animazement wasn't as crowded as established conventions, but they seemed to have a solid crowd. Joe Maxwell, the convention chairman, said they had around 700 people on hand, which sounds good for a first-year event in the new market. Will there be a second Animazement in 1999? Tired after months of advance work, Maxwell couldn't say. Well, let me tell you, Animazement is still here in 2024. Raleigh, North Carolina is roughly halfway between Alexandria, Virginia, and Atlanta, Georgia, the locations of previous two anime conventions attended by the author. That location probably encouraged people who had gone to Katsucon in Virginia and Anime Week Atlanta to head to Animazement. It looked as if much of the crowd was made up of people who attended the previous events. Certainly Maxwell's effort paid off in one respect. Animazement had a very strong gathering of Japanese guests of honor, including some very important people in the industry. The presence of a Bandai representative at the convention can't be overlooked since that company is one of the world's most powerful toy companies and is looking to make more money from the American market. Takahashi of Studio Hard talked openly of setting up a U.S. affiliate and find business in this country. Well, let's see if them Bandai hopefuls have an American arm here in the future. And Masakazu Katsuhasura, creator of the fan favorite series Video Girl Eye, had great praise for the Animazement fans who showed him such a warm welcome. One cosplayer even appeared as Katsura was the object of some of the longest autograph lines at the new convention. Wow, this Animazement just got some top-of-the-line Japanese guests here. Animazement was nearly a battleground between two American anime companies. North Carolina is home turf for Anime Eigo, and the companies sent their biggest guns, the Oh My Goddess American Seiyu, to the new convention. AD Vision responded with their biggest star, Amanda Wynn Yoko Lee. Lee later noted, regardless of what sort of company competition between Anime Eigo and ADV was, there was no friction or even involvement between the voice actors. We all got along pretty well. We were all pleasantly surprised how down to earth everyone was, and we all hung out and partied. The anime anime company competition picked up on Saturday when AD announced they had the rights to several Japanese series. This author was the most intrigued that AD was going to release compiler the Kia Asamiya series, known in the US only by bootlegs and the occasional Japanese laserdisc. However, the AD property that really got tongues wagging was a new Bubblegum Crisis television series. The first two Bubblegum Crises OVA series, films that drew many people into anime fandom, were hallmarks of anime ego. On the one hand, it was a coup for AD to announce Bubblegum Crisis TV rights in Ego's backyard. On the other hand, there were a lot of skepticism among the industry insiders at Animazement toward that announcement. Some people openly and loudly claim that AD previously had announced the rights to anime series when the company did not have yet a finished deal. Ooh. To which David Williams of AD responded by email, "I don't know who these people were, but we never announced the rights to a series when we didn't already have finished a deal. In most cases, we have a finished deal months and months before we make an announcement." Just wanted to clear that up, wrote Williams. All right. Let me just make sure that yeah. So it looks like this completes and this concludes Animazement 1998. Short and sweet report. This is one of Kevin's first earlier reports, and this is the first ever Animazement that ever took place. Who knows? A couple of my friends who have been to Animazement may have seen her photos on here. How do you feel? How do you feel that we've digged up like some of your old photos? I don't know. But anyway, love y'all. But again, thank you so much for tuning in to another dose of Fansview Fridays. We're going to be back again next Friday, November 1st, with Anime Week Atlanta 1997. The week after that, I haven't decided which convention I want to cover. We do want to bring back our friend Isaac Alexander of SakuraCon back in, but I also want to cover Fanime because I have a lot of friends who went to Fanime 2001. I was this close to attending Fanime 2001 if it weren't for certain things. A test I had to take that would determine my future. Whatever. But anyway, again, I really wanted to dedicate this report to our friend Steve Bennett, who had recently lost his wife, Nikki Bennett. Sending a lot of love to you. You guys were just amazing people. And again, just sending all my condolences out to you, Steve, and your loved ones tonight. And again, you and Nikki, thank you for being a part of so many people's memories back in the 90s, back in the 2000s, when all of this was all new, because you guys are legends. And I just want to give you guys a shout out because this is a stream where we just cherish this time period, and we want to make sure that this time period of fandom is not forgotten. And that's my job here as a VTuber, a streamer, to make sure that this era is well preserved. And I also want to keep the memory of Kevin Lillard alive, his work, his contributions, because while yes, you could see his cosplay photos on American Cosplay Paradise. Again, here we just went through an article about the guy who talked about creating the term cosplay, what he had, his mindset of creating that word cosplay, and now we also find out he doesn't like people who store by their costumes. Shame. And we also have stories here about Imagawa of Giant Robo fame, what his inspirations were, and this is one of the reasons why I want to preserve a lot of what Kevin wrote about guests of honor, about creatives that are just lost to time now. And with that said, if you really enjoy this time period, definitely like and subscribe to this channel, subscribe to our Twitch, subscribe to our YouTube. Would really appreciate all the follows and all the love, all the comments, all the likes to get this so we can beat that algorithm, because algorithms can be hell. And if you really enjoy this time period, I have a book coming out. I have a book coming out called the Fangirl Diaries. It's coming out January of 2025. It's so close. So if you enjoy this time period, I highly recommend picking up my book. This is what it was like to be a teen during this time period. A lot of times you'll see people here who appear like Gen X or like boomer age, but like what was it like waking up at 7:30 a.m. as a preteen, as a middle school student, and watching Sailor Moon, and then discovering there's more to Sailor Moon than just these 65 episodes that DCAT had produced. Like, oh, there's new Sailor Scouts. And then discovering that there's this whole genre of magical girls. And I'm like, Magic Knight Rare, the Cardcaptor Sakura. Wait, there's conventions for these. Like, let's go, mom and dad. What was that like trying to convince my parents to go to Anime Central and convincing them like, hey, um, I'm applying for college, right? Well, I have a panel at Anime Central in Chicago. I think that will look good on my college application. All those stories of like just what it was like to be a cringy tween during this time period and navigating all this. So, check out the link in the bio if to pre-order a copy. If you have a con in your neck of the woods and you'd like to have me as a guest, I'm more than happy to produce panels for any local convention. So yeah, my information is all in the description. More than happy to be a, a guest speaker at a convention, guest. I judge cosplay contests and whatnot. And with that said, thank you so much for stopping by my virtual cottage to join us for another round of convention tea and another round of Fansview Fridays. And hopefully we can also be streaming on a few rounds of Fate Grand Order soon too. And with that said, good night, and we will see you next week at the virtual cottage.